Hey you guys, welcome back. Well, you can see I got my lift against the hood here. I'm going to use the lift to hold the hood a little bit, because the next thing I'm going to do is, these are 10 millimeter bolts here. I'm going to take the hood off. So again, first thing you're going to want to do is remove the braces here. These are gas charged shocks basically that hold the hood up when you have it open. So step number one in this process, oh, and the other thing, remove the cable here. Disconnect this from there. You know, it's got, I wish I had a nice, see, now I'll have to retape that. I wanted to not do that, but it is what it is. Sometimes these don't want to come out very nicely. There. And just remove the clip here from this thing. Get a screwdriver. My little pile of tools here. Oops. Try not to break too much while doing it. When everything doesn't want to work for you, you get some WD-40 out. If I can find it in my... Well, I know where it is. I put it away. Alright, I'm going to get some WD-40 out. Right here. So yeah, another thing. It's a good idea to kind of clean your garage once in a while when you're doing these projects, just so you don't have the mess like I have right now. And then you got to try to remember where everything is. And it's cold here. Where did I put my screwdriver? No, see, oh, there it is. All right, it's cold here now, and I'm having lots of fun there. See, that came a lot easier once you put a little WD on there. Whatever lubricant you want to use will work, as long as it, you know, because it displaces water. So it's all good. Get in there a little bit. Ain't gonna hurt nothing. Just lube up what you can. Even this thing, I'm gonna lube up. Because that's why I put that lift there, is because the weight of the hood is supported by the gas shocks. As soon as I undo, it's all mine. You know. It's all on me. Now, all right. So now that I got that loose, I'm gonna grab, there's a couple ways I think it'll come off. We'll find out together here. I'm just gonna grab a breaker bar. Oh, well, not a breaker bar, but on this. There's, I think, a clip in there. I don't remember how those come off for sure. But if you just try to pry it off, I think you're going to break that little clip. Let me look closely at that. See what I'm dealing with here. I can get my light there. Yeah, that's clipped in. Interesting. A little predicament there. Alright, I know these come off, I just never really bothered with them too much. I think you gotta remove this little snap ring thing here. Once you remove that, then you can remove. Because if you don't remove that, you can't remove it from there. See? You pull that up. Voila. See that? That pulls up. So you can remove it. Like I say, don't do this. What I just did. And then lose it. Or shoot yourself in the eye with it. So you have to be a little bit careful with this because it's spring loaded and it can hurt you. Anyway, let's go do the other side too. I'm going to remove it off both parts so it's not a dangling thing on the hood that can break. So again, you got to get in there with your screwdriver and carefully pry it up and prevent it from just flinging off on you and hitting you. So there, see, I got it without, you probably didn't see, but anyway, you just want to hold it with your finger as you're taking that clip off so you don't hit yourself. And then the same thing up there, they got another clip holding that together. So you got to get up in there and open that clip up. Open that clip up, holding that thing, open that clip up in there without it flinging everywhere. Once you do that, ow! Yeah, this is why you wear gloves when you're working on stuff. I'm telling you, they're a savior on some of this stuff because it is so volatile sometimes. Like these springs. Okay, see, I got that one off without even. So I'm just going to leave it like that right now. I don't care. That's spring loaded. It'll be fine. But you want to take both your shocks off. Or suppress, or wait. I don't know what you call them. They're kind of shocks. So they're charged gas cylinders, I guess you could say. Let's get the light over here so you can see where the little clip hole is in there. A littler screwdriver might be recommended. But I've been able to get 3 off this way, so I think it's working for me. Okay, like I said, you can sometimes just leave it on there. I know it's being a little bit stubborn on this side now. Just come out of there. Again, now that went down inside the fender, so that one's gone till later. Again, if I didn't have this thing supported, I would have just lost my fingers. But I put the engine lift to hold that hood up. Because these are charged to hold that's what holds the hood up. And then you need a 10mm. I just grabbed the deep. You don't need a deep, but I grabbed one. And then you just unbolt. Now remember, when you're doing this, you got the weight of the hood to worry about. Think about that as you're doing this process. You know, doing the top bolts here, again, because I've got the thing supported, I'm okay. Now what are you going to do with the bolts? What I do is I pick a spot for them, somewhere you're not going to lose them, you know, for now. And then what I try to do is I always put the bolts back. For now, I'm just going to loosen this one. You can see what's happening to the hood. It's separating. So FYI, these are why you want to support your weight. You know, and you have to worry about, because you don't want to pinch. So sometimes, you know, you can put something in there. But, you know, I'll put the camera down here in a minute. Once I get this apart a little more. There's only 2 bolts that hold the hood on. Now, another problem I was thinking about here when I'm looking at my scenario, I got a garage door up here, I got a lift. I can only lift that much. I am probably going to have a problem here. I might end up having to spin this whole truck around just to get the engine out, or bring it forward enough so that I can take the engine out outside. But I'll deal with that if I need to. I'm not even going to worry about that right now. But FYI, clearance is something to always think about when you do these projects. And that's kind of what I didn't think about. See, this is why I'm taking the fender off, because of stuff like this. I just don't want to introduce any more damage to this fender than I already am. I've lost the clip down inside the fender somewhere for that. So I'm already creating myself a lot of nightmares to address. Let's go through this. Oh yeah, you got those lines too. I forgot about the lines there. You got to make sure you disconnect everything before you start. And on anything like that, a little screwdriver makes a wonderful, you get in there, and a little bit of lube sometimes, you know, like WD-40 again, because you do not want to break any of this stuff. It's just kind of a pain sometimes if you break it, because then you got to get a new one. Let's sit down for a minute right here at an angle, hopefully, where you can kind of see what I'm doing. That's not the angle I want. There. I need both hands so I can get in there. Push on the back side of this hose and try and get in there a little bit. Oh, and the bolt just came out. I think, well, it's still there, but it definitely released some there. See, this is what happens on everything old. It gets gunked up in there, and then you have to fight with it to get it off. So it gets gunked up in there, and I don't want to break it. It ain't the end of the world. There, got it. And I didn't break it. And the colder it is, of course, the easier it is to break. Alright, so I got that. Now I'm going to use this one. Try to position it here. Hopefully you can see. That's why I like GoPro versus my camera. If I drop the hood on it, it should survive. At least it's not expensive like a camera is. Okay, I'll put the two bolts right next to it. The hood at all, because you know you don't want to curl the corners. And you know it's helpful if you have more help. My son doesn't like this stuff yet, so kind of on my own. Oh, and yes, always disconnect your battery, at least your negative. I would actually take your battery out if you're taking your hood off. I mean, once you're getting to this level, your battery's just going to be in the way, and you don't want to drop and short everything out and put a hole in, because the battery can act like an arc welder. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to arc weld anything with your battery. So it's best to get your battery out of here. This didn't have a battery in here, so I didn't have to do that step. But before you even disconnect anything, at least disconnect your negative battery. Again, this was a farm truck, so it's got some of the farm truck enhancements that have been done to it. You know, so we'll figure that all out as we go here. I don't know what that one too, but we'll figure it out again. You know, this stuff isn't rocket science. It's not that hard. But apparently there was something there, because there's a vacuum line here and it's gone now. So there's something missing out of this circuit here. I don't know what it is right now, but we'll figure it out. That's part of the probably emissions control, I think, something like that. I don't know. Purge canister thing that they have on these new Fords and everything nowadays to eliminate exhaust. No, not exhaust, but gas vapors from roofing. They have charcoal containers and all this kind of stuff. Okay, now I'm going to set you up this way. Hopefully you can see what I'm going to do now, which is I'm going to try to lift this hood. It's loose. It's very heavy. So I have to try to do this without wrecking anything. There. There, I got it off. No hood. That was the easiest step so far. Now, what I'm going to do is grab my bolts. What I usually do, just so I don't lose stuff, is I try to remember to take them, you know, all the bolts that you take off. What I like to do is put them back in their respective spots as much as possible, just so that, you know, I have them for later, because, you know, this might not be back on. And, oh yes, there's another big thing. This is where putting it on some pad because I just got this thing sitting on the ground right now, and you just heard it go. You know, I don't care so much now about this, but if you actually care about the finish of your hood, you might not want to do what I just did. Okay, I just slammed this thing up. You want to prepare a spot for it. I'm not too worried about scratching the paint on this because it's getting a repaint anyway, but I'm just saying that you're better off planning for this kind of stuff and preventing yourself a whole nightmare later. You know, put a little spot together for the hood because it's so bulky and it's got these sharp little corners. You can so easily damage that corner. You know, and then you're kind of SOL. You notice that I didn't lay it on that side. I laid it on the flattest edge possible. You know, to just try to prevent, you know, any damage. This is not ideal. So easy to knock this, scratch this. This is not how you should do it. But I just, again, prepare, plan, and execute is always better than what I just did here, which is just kind of rip it off. But like I say, I'm not too worried about the finish right now. So it's not a big deal. If I did, I'd be really mad right now because you can hear it moving around and scratching. It's not fun. So, you know, the best spot for this is if you can put it on like a little wooden stand of some sort that you kind of build for it almost, or put it in, you know, wrap it in some like that moving blanket. That works really good too if you have moving blanket, and just kind of protect your hood from, because I mean it's one of the most visible parts of your truck, you know, or your car, of your vehicle I should say. So there you go. I got the hood off. Step 1. Step 2, put it somewhere safe. That's what I'll do here in a minute. But anyway, I don't need to show you that. I just wanted to show you. Okay, so we got that off. We got to make some room here. This has got to come out. You know, again, this thing's been kind of, how shall I put it, torn apart already. So, you know, I'm dealing with less than ideal situations here as far as, but just note, take a video like I'm doing, you know, if you have a video, or if you mark your lines, like I know what this is, you know, it's not hard for me. But if you're not used to working on vehicles, you know, like here, there's a vacuum line, you want to mark them so you know where they come from, so you can put them back. Now, I don't know where this one went. I can guess it's for emissions, or for potentially, it might even be for air conditioning and heating, but whatever. When I get there, I'll figure it out. It's not a big deal. But I mean, you know, you can see weird stuff has been done to this engine, so I'm really worried about the state. That's why this engine's getting pulled. I don't know the state of this engine at all, and I don't even want to crank it over until I know the state of the engine. That's why I'm pulling it, cleaning it, finding out what's inside of it. Because if you look under my truck, I'll show here too something else. When you buy a vehicle, look underneath. See if you're seeing like a big old oil spot like I'm seeing right now. To me, that indicates we could have a rod through the engine or something. I haven't noticed yet. I haven't got underneath there. But that much oil tells me that this one side potentially has a rod popped, meaning the block is ruined. I'll know that when I pull it. But anyway, I don't know what it is. It could be as simple as a bad gasket or something like that. I don't know, but we'll know when we get it out. You know, again, typical Ford, big old cowl up front here for the intake. So again, try to keep your tools somewhere where they're not going to get lost in the engine or lost elsewhere. But you know, you just loosen that up. This comes down. This separates right here. Okay, this wants to go with that. I don't care which way it goes. It can stay with that for all I care. there's usually a wire that's disconnected. See, that comes off now. It's all off now. Alright. So there's the air intake. Again, when you're doing this stuff, pick a spot for it all. I'm just going to throw it in the back of the box for now. You know, that way you can find it later. Maybe even mark it so you know what it is, so that you're not searching for it later. Going, where did I put that part? Because anytime you're dealing with this stuff, especially when it's a long process. You know, we're going through a lot here. This isn't just a day. Yeah, look at that. It probably needs a new one, but you know, we'll deal with that later. Again, the more you video or whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you do that makes it work for you. But you just want to make sure you capture what you're getting so that you know what you're dealing with and how bad things are. Document, you know, prepare, find the parts as you need them. I don't know why this is being such a bugger. It's just got rubber grips at the bottom that are holding it. But it's being extremely stubborn. I do want this out. Usually you can just tip it up, but this one doesn't want to tip up very nice. There, that popped out. Oh, boy, I'm gonna have to break it. Pop back in. Alright. Okay, that one. Maybe if I just slide it over, I can slide the whole bumper out for now. There, maybe up. Oh, wow, that was a bugger. I didn't break anything, but usually they're not quite that difficult. But that one wanted to be. Alright. But I don't know, this one, it's cracked up here. Anyway, I don't know if you can see that. It's all broken right there. I might replace it. I don't know. Again, the colder things are, if I would have probably taken some WD-40 in there, because it's so dry, I'd have probably prevent some of that damage that I just did. But I don't know why I wanted to be so stubborn. Sometimes, you know, you run into that. But we got it. Oh, I probably should have just slid it. I didn't even think about that. Look at, slide it. That's interesting. I don't know why it was so stubborn, but it broke. Oh, look at this. Oh my goodness. Why was there a screw in there? See, finding stuff like this right in the intake area scares me. I just don't know what to expect in this engine. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to salvage, but I am starting to think I'm going to end up with a whole new block out of this whole deal. I don't know where that screw went, but it was wedged up in there. Again, good thing I didn't try to start the vehicle. You know, and we got these lines here. They're typically hooked up, but they've been already hooked up. So they would have to come off. Usually they're hooked right on the, because this is not a drive-by-wire setup on this truck yet. 2004, I think, is when they introduced drive-by-wire on these. This is a 99, so it's got all the, this is all got to come off. I got to get this air, I got to take this out. All of that's got to come off. So I'll show you the fan thing in a little bit, but we got a little bit of disassembly done here, you know, already. So I got the air intake out. So, you know, these were just plugged in. They'll come out. I'll get those out completely just because they're plastic and they tend to break. What else? That area, that's got to come off. I got to separate the exhaust. I'm going to leave the headers on, or the exhaust manifolds on. These don't have headers. This is just exhaust manifolds down there. Deal with that with the engine out. I think there's plenty of room to sneak all this by. some things that got to come out. Your air conditioner, you can take the pump off sometimes, but I'm just going to snap it loose. You know, there's snap rings, so I'm going to pop the snap rings on it. I'll show you how to do that when I get there. Take it out. It'll have to be recharged when it's done, but it's just easier than dealing with all this. Just another thing that's in the way to break when you're pulling an engine. So I want as much freedom in this, especially since I'm taking the transmission with it. And I'm thinking with my height, that's going to be a problem. But see, what else scares me about this engine is when I'm looking back over here, if you look down in there, you can see like some sort of threaded, you know, I think that's part of a spark plug, coil plug thing just sitting there. And there's a bolt down there. That's why I don't even want to crank this thing over. I could put a borescope camera in there and blah, blah, blah. But I think the best thing is take it out, clean it all up, get it happy, and then go from there. So, you know, that's the first part. Getting all of this, I'm going to drain the coolant here in a minute. But I got the hood off. Gosh, it's nice here. I mean, usually by this time of year we're frozen and I'd be using heater right now, but it's like 40 degrees outside right now. My serpentine belt is totally destroyed. I do not know what happened to this engine. I just hope they didn't overheat it as well, because that tells me it wasn't running a fuel pump or a water pump. You know, when they were running this thing, they may have overheated it. I guess it's another reason why I'm taking it out. Just all these things indicate to me that I'm better off completely starting over with this engine, you know, I mean, as far as like rebuilding it. But yeah, another thing, this whole assembly here, I'm going to move this up and out of my way as much as possible. Probably take the dryer, the line dryer out if I can. I'll have to dig into that a little bit, see what's involved there. I am going to take this fender off. I'll show the disassembly of that too, because, you know, there's just some bolts here, and I can look at the other one too, but there's some bolts along here and in there and underneath. And I'm just going to take this thing out, so that way I don't damage it when I'm moving around. And it's so nice. I want to keep it as nice as I can. And that'll give me more room. Take this inner fender well out. Take the battery box out. Just get a lot of stuff out of the way. That way it's not going to get broke. And I have room to maneuver the engine in and out of here. Because I'm taking the whole thing. I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to move outside of the garage a little bit when I do the actual engine pull. I'll do that during the day then. I'm not actually going to pull. I was going to try to get to pulling the engine tonight, but I'm kind of feeling lazy right now. And I'll get a lot of the other stuff loose and then do the engine pull later. All right, I think that's enough for right now. I'll show you the rest later. Bye.